man, I just need to start buying in bulk again. And so I went to different stores. I was trying to get people to do it. And they'd say, oh, yeah, we'll get it. And I even filled out forms with some, did internet ones with others, and nothing. Dude, it's like I'm trying to keep my collection at a deal where I have my collection, I have a backup collection, and then I have ones I use for investments and sales.
You might be my hero.
That's what he said. He was like, it's like, my thought is, if you look at stuff like the Silver Age ASM Spider-Man stuff, if you have a set from 1 to 200, that somebody kept during that time period, now they're, obviously 50, 60, 70 years old, those things are worth mints.
Yeah.
And so that was my thought process is instead of having one mint and selling my collection and saying I retired, I have 5 collections or 4 collections that I can retire off of. And so that's I'm playing the long game. But by doing that, sometimes I'll sell like all those nulls. I kept 2 of them.
Yeah.
But out of that, I was like, I made a killing real quick, and that's, tens of thousands of dollars. Now I can reinvest that and buy other stuff. And to me, I don't think the null is going to be a long-term ASM one or first goblin deal. So there's just too many of them made in comparison. So 7 years from now, I don't think it's going to be as rare. It's not going to be a $15,000 comic. So.
Well, this is all good. Let's get started. This is great.
Fantastic.
I may talk too much. So.
No, I don't talk enough, so that's great.
So
we can start over with whatever you want.
No. I'm just gonna go like this, and we're playing our intro music right now. Welcome back to the Nerd Tier. My name's Andrew.
I'm Brian.
And we are here with a special guest. Would you like to introduce yourself?
My name's James Drain, owner of Comic Cave and fun little weird comics and different things we sell. So
excellent. So what we wanted to do is basically kind of get together. I've started looking at some comic books, and we've dived into like Pokemon cards and stuff. And, and all of the different collectibles and whatnot. And we haven't conquered comic books at all.
I can't. I don't know anything about comics. I do like comics with good stories, but not the collecting aspect because I do have hoardish tendencies.
Yes.
And so I purposely stay away. So I literally know nothing. My favorite comics are The Simpsons. So if that tells you anything, I don't think there's a lot of people out there like that. But anyways,
it is the longest running show in history. Therefore, you have a lot of fans that are probably just with you. You just counted out millions of people.
Gotcha.
They're going, no, I'm here. I'm here. Wait. Yeah, I was going to say anything can tell the future and like nail like 27 and now that they have like major events.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
it's pretty crazy.
I rewatch some of that stuff. If you go to like the little blog sites and show that this is a video clips of it, you're going, that couldn't have been made 10 years before that or 5 years. Like, no. And you look at it going, holy crud, that is wow.
Yeah.
Kind of amazing. But no, I love The Simpsons too. I think
perfect. All right. Yeah. Well, after we're done here, maybe I'll see if you have any Simpsons comics.
I wish they made more. They make all their money off the shows. I mean, their comics aren't as big. They had,
I think they stopped making them now, didn't they?
I haven't seen one recently, but they'll do like little one-shot runs. So you'll get something like out of the blue, and you're like, oh, okay, or like a little 5 or 6 shot run. But it'll be for like 2 years ago, or maybe it'll be in the next year. But that's it. But they're doing that same thing with the Ninja Turtles. That's kind of similar. You have the Ronin series. It's the 6 of them, and it's the last Ronin's like one of the most popular books right now. So
that's okay. Right. So we kind of, and I sent you the questions that I'm going to ask, and I've always been way more fascinated. Of course, I love the collecting, and honestly, your mystery boxes got me back into collecting. I was just bored one day, and I took my daughter in here, and I was just like, a mystery box. I love open up packs of cards, so maybe I'll try this. And like I got the first Whiplash, and I was like, oh no, that's it. This is who I am now.
They say some of the hardest things to break is like methamphetamines and like a Silver Age key comic. So once you get that addiction, it just falls, snowball effect. Yeah.
I mean, and so, but what has kind of, and honestly, it's more ammo to fight my wife with is the actual investing side.
Yes.
That this might actually make me money one day, and she can accept that a little bit better. She doesn't listen to the show, so I'm not worried about any of this.
Well, maybe a friend or somebody tells her, no, he's really making money.
So, and obviously this is an investment to you. What got you initially started into comics? Like, what got you from buying a book? Was it a series, a book, that just kind of dragged you in kicking and screaming?
Art was the first thing that drew me to it, and this is when I was a child, and I say this like really young, learning to read. About the only books I'd read is Dr. Seuss. I mean, like Go Dog Go, stuff like that. You know, Sam My Aunt, or the eating the ham with Fox in a Box and all that fun stuff. That kind of was fun, but it bored me after a while because it didn't have a monthly type deal. You had a few books and that was it. So I got huge into Spider-Man, and so I had everything Spider-Man you could have, from swim trunks to toys to outfits, you name it. It was pretty much like you mentioned earlier, we had compulsive addiction issues. That's me to the nth degree too. So that's why we'll probably have very similarities with what we like. The aspect of it was I didn't want to read. I wanted to look at the art, wanted to draw. And I've drawn ever since then too, obviously. But I should say, obviously, you may or may not have seen my art. But that kind of got me into hey, I'll read. My parents were like, if you want this book, you have to read it with us. I'm like, oh, fine. I'll do whatever it takes. And I did it. So after a while, I started reading really well. And it was funny is when I'd go to school, they were like, you can read well above your grade level. And I was like, they put me in all these spelling bee contests, had all these high hopes, and I was failing miserably. And they were like, why are you coming to class with, like, you can pronounce a 16-letter word and like it's nothing? And I was like, well, because it was in a comic. And it's like, if you have that in a comic and you see it enough times, it becomes memory. It was what they call I can't think of the term now, the sight words. My sight words weren't the, and it was like,
blam.
My smallest one was pow and bam. So it's like, oh my gosh, astrophysics, something out of one of the, science fiction type deals. I was like, oh yeah, that's sight word. So after that kind of came about, then I started having to focus on actual school reading type stuff, and it wasn't as hard, but it was just something that kind of started my whole path. And then I have a huge addiction issue with collections. I've collected baseball cards, hit my first 1 million baseball cards before I was 16. That's all I wanted for Christmas and birthdays and any event. It wasn't anything but that. Like if you gave me socks, you were literally almost on a hit list. I mean, like a small list. You learn very quickly. I was a very ornery child, but so it was a deal that comics and baseball cards were my thing, and then it gravitated towards other stuff, but I never lost the affection for still pulling those. Like if I walked into, like you did, walk into my store, like if I walked into Al's baseball cards, and I do this every 6 months or so. Like I haven't seen him in 6 months, but I've known him since I was probably 8 years old. But I'll go in there and I'll like, what's new, what's cool, and I'll end up walking out like 8 packs of cards I have no idea anything about, and I haven't watched that sport in like 10 years. And I'm going, oh man, what is this a good card? Tell me. And he's like, oh man, you got an autograph. I'm like, who is he good? So I'm like, okay, great, like you did with the first Whiplash. It's like, oh my god, every card to me though in those packs now was like a grab bag because I have no idea.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, I mean, you hear the big names, like a Kobe card, I'd know it or something like that, but the other stuff, I can't tell you any star baseball player currently playing right now. That's how bad it is, but I'll still buy a pack of baseball cards at his place.
There's something like amazing about opening a pack of cards of anything. Like
it's the cellophane, I think.
It's that adrenaline rush.
Heroin.
They lace it with something that, cocaine, heroin, angel dust, pops, and it gets your sinus game. Ooh.
God help me if it's shiny. Oh my God.
Oh yeah, you get hologram cards or shiny cards, and it's like all over at that point.
Yeah.
When Upper Deck did the holographic cards like in every pack back in the 90s, I was like, oh, I want that box. That's all I want.
Yeah.
Boxes of those cards.
Yeah.
So,
let me answer one of my questions in here that I just now thought about. So no planning involved in this. Do you buy sealed? Okay. So I know we're talking about comic books. I'm going to shift to the card thing again here. Yeah. So do you buy sealed product and keep them sealed to turn around profit later? Is that something you also do?
I do have some still at the house. Over the years, unfortunately, my addiction has gotten the best of me. Just like if a cocaine addict had cocaine in his house and he was out and he couldn't find a dealer, where are you going to go? It's in your house. So that's dwindles down no matter how important they are.
I got you. Yeah.
Or 2 years ago,
I put it in a time safe that you can't touch it.
You have no idea how many things I've tried. You can crack a time safe with a couple things. It's not real hard. You think it is, but it's not. Those Dremel and the diamond drill bits that they came out with, the greatest tool ever. Even if you have it in your storage, which you're not supposed to really do with a lot of stuff, put it in a storage bin type deal away from your house, like in a storage facility. You can still make it there pretty quick. It's not hard for a good hit on some cards.
That second thought did not hit in time.
Yeah, it was. It's like, and you probably understand this. Once you have that mentality, and it blocks everything else. You become tunnel vision. I got to focus on this, and
Can't sleep until you do it.
2 years ago, I did open my last 1986-87 Fleer basketball pack. I did not get a Jordan out of it. I was really hoping for it, but I got a Larry Bird, so it was still a great one.
What value would that be sealed right now?
I think you can buy them for about $500 a pack.
Oh, wow.
It may be $800. It fluctuates, and I haven't checked it in a while since I opened my last pack. I was no longer interested.
$800 per pack.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, if you had a Gem Mint Michael Jordan that popped out of one of those, you're talking a $20,000 plus, card. Right. And so I say Gem Mint, a 9.6 or above. If you had a 10.0, it'd be even higher. It'd be stupid, but. So I mean, it's the thrill, and it is kind of an addiction deal. You're addicted to adrenaline. It just, you don't have to go ride a motorcycle 100 miles down the road because you're probably going to die anyway. But in the grand scheme of things, you still have that same adrenaline rush. I could have $20,000 sitting in my hand. I could just open this package, and there it is.
Yeah.
It is basically Willy Wonka's golden ticket on crack.
So, it is. That's a great example.
That's what I've told people over the years. I'm like, opening a pack of cards or like a grab bag that has. And here's my thing about my grab bags. I told you when you're in here, same thing. I tell everybody, I don't put junk in my grab bags. I may have a couple fillers in there, but I don't put your 20 cents or 10 cent throwaway comics, which a lot of people do. I want somebody to walk away like what we're talking about, where you have that golden ticket, and you hit that card or that book and that card, and you're going, holy cow, now this is fun again. But that's what it should be. And then so many people used it. I mean, growing up, I wasn't as smart as I am now, obviously, but you buy those little packages of cards or comic pre-packaged deals where there's like 10 of them in a package, and you're going, oh, you see the front one on there. It's got to be other good ones behind it. If that's the best one you see, there's got to be. And it was the best card out of the 100 cards, or the best comic out of the last 10. And so it's like, it just kind of burns you after a while. And so I don't want that, especially with adults. I mean, we're smarter now, so we're not going to go buy junk
and have
stuff.
money.
Are we now?
The thing is, you still have to. You're not going to get a cat to chase a dead mouse. That's what I tell you. You still have to have some live stuff there that gets people interested, and it's got to stimulate your mind and everything and your emotions.
Well, it worked.
Yeah, it worked.
Yeah, he would after we had opened them, he was like, I think I'm gonna go get another one.
I'm like, I think I need another one.
He's over there scratching real hard on his going to Twitch. It's like, dude, you may need to go to some therapy or help for that.
Oh, he does. He definitely does need that.
Definitely.
This is his therapy group, is what you're saying.
Yeah, basically,
right here.
Put him in the store with us.
It's immersion.
You're such a good friend.
Yeah, this isn't actually going anywhere. It's just to help him.
It's my own little bubble. Okay. Well, more on investing. So let's just take me for example. I walk into the store. I'm wanting to get involved with this. Number one, is this a good time to get involved with it? Is it?
Anytime's a good time. It's just different titles have different elements of key factors to them.
So what would I be looking for? Like I posed this to our group chat. Like, what is it? I want to get into it. What should I buy? Right
now, and this has had in the last 15 years roughly, this has switched completely compared to what we used to collect when we were kids. And I say this we would buy a comic, and it would kind of set the stage for the show, like G.I. Joe or Transformers or Spider-Man and stuff like that. You'd see, cartoon movies maybe and stuff like that, and then graduated into movies, Star Wars, stuff like that. But now the popularity has shifted. So when you have a movie that comes out, now the popular people, they see the movie, now they want to go buy the comic. It wasn't as it was before. We bought the comics, and now we want to see the movie. They made all the, movie about all these comics that we love. Mm-hmm. So it's a flip-flop. So now you have to base off. I didn't even think of that. Yeah. Now you have to base off and this is a bad thing too, and a good thing, but base your investment off of what's going to be coming out in the movies. And the hottest time to sell a comic of a movie, for example, like Iron Man, they just redid Robert Downey Jr. for another another Iron Man movie, which they had told everybody he's done. They couldn't find somebody to match. He made Iron Man. His comic books, when Iron Man came out, literally quadrupled almost overnight, and then continued to skyrocket. It wasn't even close. If you look at the graph, it's ridiculous. It's like a penny stock hitting the $400 mark. You're going, wow. But that's what his did, and it was because he acted and made Iron Man. If you put somebody else as an actor that's not as good, it probably wouldn't have done near as well. And given the writers did a phenomenal job too, but certain people just play parts phenomenal, and they set it off. If you look at the statistics with Fantastic Four movies, they have great comics, huge key people. I mean, Silver Surfer, it's a huge one. But in the grand scheme of things, their movies, their first one did great. Second one did pretty good. And then it's kind of teetered since then. Yeah. There's even to the point where I think they started pulling the last movie out of the theaters way early because nobody's even showing up for it.
Yeah.
Their comics.
The newest one was pretty rough.
Oh, yeah. And their comics have just kind of stayed at a plateaued blah. They haven't jumped up and go, oh, you have this. And they're trying to put, key features, key people in there, first appearances. But, it becomes a deal that that movie has just crushed those comics. It really held them down. It has their foot on its head. It's not letting it out of water.
Well, now that with Disney acquiring the rights to Fantastic Four, there's a chance that we could see a boom back up.
Statistically, yes.
Disney
destroys. I mean, I say destroy in a good way. They hit home runs.
They can knock it out of the park and bring it back into reality. But now, so I see some of the here. I'm going to grab.
I had a friend of mine, you talk about analogies, he made the funnest analogy, and I had to laugh pretty hard when I heard it. He goes, when Disney makes a good movie, it's like they served you tenderloin steak on a silver platter, and you were just ecstatic about it, and you just sat back fat on the hog. He goes, when they make a bad movie, it's got, sparkle on the toilet paper, and you're still, just in awe of it. You're like, wow, this is crap, but it's just awesome.
It's still real good.
It's like, you never see crap that sparkles like this. But I was like, I never really thought of it, but that's pretty gnarly. But yeah, really, Disney doesn't have any duds.
Yeah, they have their medium down.
They can churn them out too really quick. I mean, that's why DC hasn't gotten the. I mean, Disney was putting out 2 to 3 Marvel movies a year for 10 years. I think they're doing that, just churning them out. And DC puts out one every 3 years. So just in the the disparaging of the sheer experience, Disney's been able to crap out a ton of videos,
which is why I'm happy about Star Wars.
Oh, I am too. I mean, they were the sequels were fine, but I think we've already talked about
that. I loved the sequels. He doesn't.
They're fine. They're fine.
It's not for everybody, but I mean, now I can pretty much tell you that if you've watched that Mandalorian, I mean that is for everybody. I don't know anybody who said, "Oh, I hate it."
No, yeah.
I'm surprised Andrew doesn't hate it. He hates it. Everything I like, he hates. So
no, that's not true.
He may do that on purpose.
It's a contrarian. So you walk into a store. I need to buy something. Do I buy something like this, a graded comic, or do I try and find something to get it graded? Do I need to get it graded? These are 10 questions.
Absolutely. I mean, my thing is, I am a raw collector.
Okay.
I don't like graded books. As a business person, I love graded books. I crack CBCS books because they grade so much harder than CGC, and I will crack that book, press it, clean it, send it back into CGC and get a point or even a 1.5. I had one that was 2 points higher grade.
Jeez.
It was phenomenal. And I can sell them better with CGC because CGC has a library platform of rarity. Well, now CBCS does have it now. They just introduced it last month, I think. It's last month, the month before, but so they're starting theirs because that was the only thing setting them aside. And the consistency with CBCS for grades is way better. I can go off the same chart and look at it every single time and count the same ticks they do, the same spine folds, and it's just clockwork. Whereas CGC, I've sent stuff in and they've graded it higher, they've graded it lower. I've had to call them or email them and conversate back. Why did they miss this, or why? How are you doing this? And so I don't have those conversations with CBCS. So if for grades, you're talking a whole different realm, and you're talking so much more in the rarity factor of how pretty it is and how flawless it is. Okay. I'm totally flawed myself. I would hate for some woman to grade me. I would be, it's 1.8 at best. I mean, it would be down on the. They made I'm cover separated, inside spine broken. It's you see, I got scars all over me from all sorts of muscle repairs and rips. But
as long as you don't have a signature, you're fine.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a tattoo, so maybe. In the grand scheme of things, it's kind of like I'm beaten. I'm not the one you're gonna collect, but I still want somebody to want me. So the other comics, it's the same thing. If you had the #1 Amazing Spider-Man, or Amazing Fantasy first appearance, if it's in rough condition, even like me, man, you can make a killing off of it, and it's still unique because it was such a rare deal and it's the first appearance of them. So, I mean, that's what I appreciate raw books for. I love to buy raw books and clean them and press them. I'm an artist and I've been that for years. I did art restoration. And so I use that same techniques and stuff like that I do with that with my books. And so when I go back there and hit one up, I can take a 3 to a 5 pretty consistently unless there's, tears or something like that on it. But if you're talking about wear and tear, there's a lot of stuff I can do. Take a 5 to 5.5, 6 easy with most of them that I do. So I appreciate it because those are readable. The other thing is if you're a new collector, you walk in the store, you're buying a picture when you see that CGC deal. You can't open it because it's going to lose its value. So what value is it? Did you ever read that story? What's the appreciation? And that's where you break down, am I an investor collector or am I a connoisseur of the storyline in the book and the characters? And you have a mixed reviews. A lot of people who get almost like Star Wars theme pulled to the dark side. They go to the investment because they started off with the reading and the artwork and they loved it, and then they're like, well, this book's worth so much I don't even want to read it because it's going to be worth less. And that's what I hate about the grading system that has been out. Is it's destroyed the aspect of somebody who wants to read a book. And they can't. They own it.
Why would I read this? I'm throwing away money.
And you can't share it with your kid. If you want to read this to your kid or let your kid read it, which I do with my kid. My 12-year-old son now is big into appreciation. My 9-year-old daughter, not so much. But she does, but she doesn't get it. Like she doesn't know the pressure of what you put on the spine when you fold it. And it's like, okay, whoa. And then you're like, oh, okay, that's right.
That's why I told him, because he's into comic books. I'm like, I'm into comic books, but I only will buy trade paperbacks just because I know how I am, and I will get to that obsessive, like, I have to make sure I get a really nice one so I can get it graded, or maybe I should just buy the graded, and it's this whole nightmare situation. So like I've made a rule for myself, I can only buy the trade paperbacks, that way I can just read them and enjoy them. I still like to have them like on my bookshelf, but that's the extent that I want to go with myself on that.
That's a smart decision. That your situation and you mastered it. So that's a great thing to have. And
did you hear that? I mastered it.
Yeah.
That's so boring. Join
me. It's again,
the dark side.
I read for fun. Okay.
We have baby Yodas and cookies.
I will. I'll buy that.
How has, and this might be one of our last questions, how has the internet affected business like this?
It's free marketing. I mean, the thing is, like, if we sell a lot of stuff. As a matter of fact, I had a few messages on the way here that were hitting up, and they were from people on the internet that I'll respond to later on this evening after the show. But it's just one of those things that you don't have to pay for it. You can advertise freely on like a Facebook or Instagram or any of the Twitters and stuff like that, and it's just astronomical what you can do with it. And you have a lot of people who live in a rural area that can't just go every week to the comic book store or local comic book store and buy books. They're 2 hours away, so that gives them the outlet to be able to buy those. So it's done nothing but help it. You have a lot of fluff sometimes that comes out where people market things maybe a little heavy. They've really hammered the Null stuff with his own line. They're feeding off of it and just dumping so much of it out there. There's so many different Null variations on books that it's like, why? You've watered it down so much, you've taken away some of the uniqueness to it. Whereas, when Null 3 was, out, or Venom 3, the first Null came out, and that was it. That's the only one he was in. And a couple of appearances later after that, you're like, oh, that's an awesome character. I want more of it. But you
got all of it.
You got more than you know what to do with. And so now you've taken away that uniqueness to it. But as far as the internet goes, it's always, I'd say it's 90% good, 10% bad. Just kind of like with truth, you get about 10% truth, 90% not. So,
what about the like e-reader kind of being able to circumvent at least all the new stuff? Like, I know I bought King in Black here, and then I bought it on Kindle and read it because I was an idiot, like where I didn't want to open it up.
I get it.
I was like, and after reading it, I'm like, there's zero chance this is going to be a movie here in about 5 years. Like, zero chance. As long as they can get the Venom rights, Disney's all over this one.
Oh, yeah.
But
that's what people have to do.
Uh-huh.
For me, I don't like that aspect of it. I don't like to read on the computer flat out. I don't know what it is, my eyes or something like that, but I would rather read paper than I would on a...
It smells better. It feels better.
Oh, yeah.
I'd go with that.
And it tastes better. The screen, if you look at a lot, just after a while, it's not real tasty at all. So, yeah.
I got a quick question. What have you ever bought stuff and then it ended up being fake? Do they make fake comic books?
Yes. Yeah, there's been anything. Same thing with Michael Jordan rookie card. I mean, you can replicate anything with a print press, and the better the technology is now, the easier it is to do that. I haven't come across one where I've ever sent one in and got it graded and they said it was a fake. There's a lot of stuff you can do with the older stuff that's carbon dated that's going to be able to be blown out. There's no sense in doing it. It's going to get caught and busted. But the new stuff, yeah, I can see where if somebody had a print press or had an access to one that had the layouts that wanted to put that in there and was good enough with digital, computers and be able to put their whole page together and send it in, they could probably make one. Then you worry about copyrights and infringement on that kind of stuff if they get caught. But, people that do that with dollar bills and stuff, they don't care. I mean, the same person. Yeah. I mean, the first person who came up with the Michael Jordan rookie card, I remember that they were making reprints of, made a killing. They busted a lot of people. They probably didn't bust the original. No. And there's probably so many fake Michael Jordans that were bought for $4 or $5 grand that, are worth $10, $15 now. And it's like, well, I'm sorry.
Have there ever been fakes made that because they're the fake, they're worth money?
No? I've never seen anything like that because you're going against the kind of grain of the originality of it. There's reprints that sometimes can be worth more, or a variant. So like a first print, second print, third print. So in the Venom 3, the one I was referring to earlier, the third print is actually the most valuable. And it's because it was the lowest print run. It also had a different cover on it where it had the null on it. It was kind of a little bit better drawn. So in that case, the first print of it wasn't as worth as much. Matter of fact, it's about a third of the price now. Huh.
Interesting.
So you'd think that the first of the first would be the most expensive.
Yeah.
It isn't because null's not on the cover. So, that's what you run into with it. But the comic book world has kind of caught on to it in that same realm. And I hate saying that's what you're referring to is copied deal. Well, you're copying the same one you just made. Now you got like 6-7 prints of the first of a number 2 Thor now, and you're like going, man, you're really beating a dead horse. I mean, that's dragging it out. AED resuscitate it, pull it back, and then hit it again. Yeah. And so for me, it waters it down. It loses its luster for me, and then I know they're in the money for it. They're not really into the
grab.
So I mean, the stuff that people do to do it, I don't think that it's worthwhile. What would it cost to print? Because if you're doing a comic book, you're not going to print one. You're going to print 1,000 minimum. Most places they make you print that as the minimum. So you're going to invest a lot of money and hope that you get rid of a lot of those at good retailable prices. And then, if you get caught that you're the guy doing that on Facebook, they ban you and you may have lawsuits. And is it worth it? It's probably better to do counterfeit money.
Do you know who Guru's Collectible is? Is it Collectible Guru? I think is what he is on Twitter.
I've heard the name and I've had a few people mention him. I haven't recalled watching a lot of it or anything with him just because I honestly don't have a lot of time most of the time.
He's the dude that sold, I don't know if you follow this at all, but sold Logan Paul the box of first edition Pokemon cards that he opened up on a live stream. And then he also sold, what was the other group? Dumb Money. They bought a first edition box for like $400 or $375,000 and they opened it with him there and it was fake. On video.
Holy cow.
Well, that's when you try and get out of the room quickly.
I bought a box of Pokemon that ended up being fake, and I bought it for my son. That was quite a few years ago, but that was a bad
disappointing.
Deal.
That's a bummer.
That's some of the stuff you can't trust all the time on eBay. It's like I bought it off of it, but I bought good things off eBay, but I got caught a few times with some fake stuff, and I'm like going, I've had people bought stuff in my shoe store. They bought a Brooks Adrenaline GTS, and they're like, "Oh, this is a cool shoe, blah, blah." And you look at the stamp, and it looks like a child drew it. And you're like, going, "Your size 13 doesn't look like the same stamp I have on mine."
Right.
And then you look at it, it's just really plain. You're like, "Well, you got this off the black market." Like, no, I bought off eBay. Well, they got off the black market. It ain't lit.
Oh yeah.
See, I just live with this is what it is, and you'll never dispute me on it. I will buy fakes all day long and just accept it. Like
I had a thing with mine in the folk lease.
Wow. yeah, bringing me way back.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wasn't going to spend. I was 17, 18. I'm going to spend $200 or $400 on a pair of glasses. I couldn't. So I was like,
I bought a pair like that at I think it was a regular place. I was like, hey, do you have the fake Oakleys? And he's like, yeah. And he pulled up.
Here are the Folkleys. These are $10 a pop.
Yeah.
I tore them up. I was in baseball. So it was one of those things you lost an M frame every 2 games.
Right.
So it was like, or scratch them so bad you couldn't use them. But no, I mean, fakes have their place. That's why people make them. But you're not going to see them value-wise.
Right.
Ever. I mean, that I know of. So.
Interesting.
Well, I think we're going to finish it off there. I definitely want to sit down again with you and do
anytime,
another episode. This was an absolute
this was a lot of fun.
Cool.
So make sure you like and subscribe and all of that jazz. So I'm just going to...
Awesome.
We are good.
Sweet. You got like heavy duty professionals.
Yeah, except for the
is, again, our spending habits. We'll just have an idea like, let's go get that.
Yeah. We both get.
We are like the dream of